And welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFLW round review. Round nine has come, it has gone. I hate the short season. I will just get it out right now. I have to say that. But you want to know what? I am full, full of excitement because we are one round away from finals. Always the most fun time of the year. Some great football that has been played this last week. And Indigenous round, absolutely loved the Guernseys as per usual. So let's jump in. Joining me today, a very good friend of the podcast from RookieMeCentral.com. It's Ali Collette. Ali, great to see you again.
CT, thank you for having me.
It's always great having you on. We had a nice little chat pre the podcast, which is always so much fun talking a little bit of everything footy wise, which is always great. So let's hop right into it. Game round nine is coming. It has gone. Thoughts as a whole of round nine?
Yeah, it was an intriguing round. Not too many surprises, but yeah, should make things very interesting this coming weekend.
Definitely for sure. But I have to say though, there was that three game stretch where we had a draw, a 1 point win, and a 4 point win that I had to say was quite intriguing as we had it. It was great to see that little stretch of the last game of Saturday night and the first two games on Saturday afternoon. Definitely had me up and about, and then unfortunately the closing game was not exactly one that yours truly was super happy to sit through, but I did as the Swans fan that I am. So let's hop into it. We'll jump through each game. Unfortunately, as much as I didn't like the last game, unfortunately, my co-host was probably kicking herself and a few things around her as her beloved Melbourne Demons, or NOM as they were called this week, fell to the Hawthorn Hawks by 6 up at Kazali Stadium up in Cairns. How gorgeous was Kazali Stadium? It was magnificent up there, and the Hawks just find a way to get it done.
Yep. Yeah, beautiful conditions, beautiful deck, very warm. Yeah, considering the outs Nam had those pair of laid outs, Gab Colvin and Kate Hall,
Mhm.
the fact that it was only a 6 point loss, kudos to you, D's, but yeah, it was the manic kicking at the start. The number of times that the D's managed to pick out Lucy Wales was very frustrating as a D's fan, but yeah, it makes things a bit tricky heading into this week.
Yeah, definitely for sure. But the thing though is it puts the Hawks into the top two, and definitely makes them they're sitting there quite happy with the double chance and a good shot to make it deep into the finals. It's This Hawks team has been a team that the entire club has taken on the hawk ball mentality, this devil may care, get out and go type of attitude, which it's been a lot of fun. It's been great seeing the Irish duo of Eileen Gilroy and Anya McDonough playing absolutely fantastic. I know Eileen Gilroy was a little bit quieter in this game than she had been in previous games. Um, Lucy Wales was fantastic. Like as you said, that I swear I think they thought that Lauren Pierce and Lucy Wales had switched jumpers because they kept kicking it to Lucy Wales. I felt horrible for some of the nom forwards because they kept finding the person in the odd other jumper, so it was a little bit difficult. But I agree with you. No Kate Hoare, no, and a couple of outs late, and I thought they played really well. Tyler Hanks, their allies and McNamara have been their they've been their best two midfielders this year, have been playing fantastic. Eden Zanka did everything she possibly could in this game. Just a tough one where the Hawks just did enough to get the 4 points in the bank. And again, it makes Nom's chances of making finals a little bit more difficult. Got to have a little bit of help, but it's not impossible. But it's definitely going to be difficult for sure. We jump over to what I have to say is game of the round. I know we had a couple of closer ones, but for me, this was game of the round. These two heavyweight boxers went into the ring and they threw punches, and North was the one left standing in the end as they get an 8 point win at Norwood Oval over in Adelaide, 41-33 over the Crows. Fantastic by North, continuing the undefeated streak and continuing to show why they are the premiership fancy for a lot of experts.
Yeah, what can stop the Roos this year? Crows were probably the last beacon of hope, for want of a better phrase, in terms of trying to break that undefeated stretch. But yeah, that's the thing with the Roos side. There's just so much strength, so much talent in every area of the ground. It's impossible to stop.
Well, the crazy thing about it is they actually got better defensively when they added Libby Birch. Again, I'm sorry as the D supporter, I'm not trying to throw a shot there, but they have. Like when they originally got Libby Birch, I was kind of like, is that really the a great addition? Libby Birch is good, but is she that step over defensively? And as of right now, she's shown that she has. She stepped right in. She has not looked out of place. Again, they're one of the best, most stingy defenses in the league. Again, Adelaide, I knew was going to put up points. This was going to be purely one of those, is that defensively, who could kind of shut down or limit the opposites. Caitlin Gould still had herself a game that she looked fantastic. Ebony Marinoff and then Hatchard again ran riot. But on the other hand, Jazz Garner again continues to show why she's one of the best in the competition. Again, umpires, give this woman votes. Holy crap, Jazz Garner was magnificent again. If she does not get 3 votes in this game, I'm going to throw a shoe at my iPad as I watch this because I'm going to be so angry if she does it. Jazz Garner has been magnificent this year. A best and fairest really should be in her cabinet case at the end of this year because she has been magnificent. But it's just they're so deep. There doesn't matter what line you're talking about, they're deep. Their defense, right? Ferguson, Bresnahan, Birch. I mean, they're fantastic. You go into the midfield, you have Riddell, you have Garner, you have Taylor Gatt, you have Emma King going through the center. Going forward, you've got Sheeler. You've got so many weapons that this North team has. This is their year. This is their shot to get over the hump and win a premiership. But again, if they go into the finals undefeated, there's a bigger target on your back. There's 10 times the pressure because you have to keep the undefeated streak. So if you fall short, it looks even worse. I think North can do it, but man, have they got a lot of pressure on them with no losses this season and looking like what many people call as the team to win the flag is going to be fun. Now, I know I've thrown tons of flowers at North, but I want to throw just a few at Adelaide. I thought they were magnificent in this game. Just the lack of kicking straight really was the one thing that really is kicking them. Like if you're Doc Clark, you're looking at it going, we kick straight, we win this footy game. Plain and simply, you kick straight, you win this game of football.
Yeah, and it was the same thing against Nam a couple of weeks ago. They were they were inaccurate and just had the yips in front of goal and beat Nam a couple of weeks ago, beat North. Yeah, they would be the ones securely in the top four, and they'd be laughing to all the way to potentially another flag. But yeah,
It'll be interesting. Again, I'm not going to count the Crows out. There's still a ton of experience on this team. When you've got Chelsea Randall, you've got Ebony Marinoff, you've got Ann Hatchard, you've got 3 weapons there that could change a game for anybody. So I'm not going to count out Adelaide, but but this one hurt. This one really, really hurt. This was your chance to show the competition, to tell the competition, we're not done yet, and they faltered again. They faltered at another hurdle. They faltered. So we'll have to see how that handles because now it's looking like unless they get a ton of help when it comes to this ladder, that they're looking that they're going to have to go on the road in those qualifying finals. And right now, if the ladder stays the way it is, they got to play this same Ruse team most likely at Arden Street, which will be even more of a test. So it'll be fun to see how the Crows handle that in the finals, being on the road instead of at home like they were for this one. So we'll jump up to Henson Park up in Sydney, and the team that I have absolutely enjoyed watching because I was so worried earlier this season, and that is Walup as they get a big 30-point win over the GWS Giants, 55-25. I mean, Aisling McCarthy, I mean, has looked absolutely sensational this year. Very, very much hoping she gets an All-Australian because she has been absolutely magnificent for this Fremantle midfield, which I was a little worried about when Kiera Bowers and Ange Stannett both went down in the preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. She has definitely been the I don't want to say recruit of the year, like trade of the year, I suppose. Yeah, she going into this year, I looked at Wally Lup's list and went, okay, she is the obvious replacement for Bowers, but I wasn't sure how she was going to slot in. And yeah, she's been an absolutely perfect replacement for Bowers. And yeah, have had their wobbles through the year, but they're improving at the right time of the year.
Yeah, definitely for sure. It's been and just I don't want to go to the I don't want to go to the negative. It's just really, really hard to watch GWS right now because they're sitting in this massive purgatory. Like they're not as horrible as their record suggests. Again, I think they've had some difficult games, but they're not as good as I was expecting them to be. I thought they've got some great pieces to their list. I mean, Zari Goldsworthy is one of the best young players in the entire competition. But it's been frustrating watching this side under Brad Panisconi. Like it's just not clicking. I don't know what it is. Like I can't put my finger on it. I mean, I don't know. And again, maybe this is the Sydney part of me, but I was hoping that both New South Wales squads would be a little bit better than they have been this season.
Um, GWS annoy me the in really the best way because in a couple of games over the last couple of years, when their game plan works and it just connects, they are so fun to watch.
Hmm.
But it just is not consistent enough. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is the number of brick walls and just absolute barriers that this club have had to face
Hmm.
in in getting this team out on the park and trying to be competitive in a New South Wales market that isn't like any of the other football markets in the rest of the country. So yeah, I think yeah, they've got one more game this week and then tack the draft hard. Will they get a new coach? I'm not sure. If they do, I know exactly who I would want them to get. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just so frustrating because where they could be and where they are is just such a gap at the moment.
Hmm. Well, I think as we were kind of discussing off mic, I think the change to a national draft does help GWS a lot. Like
Mhm.
I think that there really does help them in one of the areas that they've had a lot of issues with, and that's just because of the state-based draft. GWS was they were in GWS and Sydney both had that issue. Is you almost kind of have to try to convince Victorian girls to nominate New South Wales or Queensland girls to nominate New South Wales because when you really look at the New South Wales market, there wasn't a ton. There wasn't a ton of top tier AFLW talent running around in the AFLW in New South Wales. So this change, I think, because it will be to the benefit of GWS and Sydneyans in some situations. So hopefully, crossing our fingers that help is on its way up to the charcoal and orange part of Sydney. So we'll jump over to People's First Stadium at Gold Coast as Yartapulte go up to Gold Coast and get a nice 34-point win. The Power look to be on their way to make their first ever finals in their third season. Cannot wait to watch this young side have a crack at it. Gold Coast, unfortunately, again, a lost season, too many changes over this last off season, and you could definitely tell, but this is a fun port team to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're finally getting the pieces they need to be a really competitive side. And they've still got Lauren Young to come back, which is just it's just absolutely insane. Yeah, like you said, another good win. They were pushed at times, but yeah, got the job done. And yeah, unless something dramatic happens this week, finals here we come for the Power.
Yeah, which will be fun. I'm interested to see how Lauren Arnell and the Power attack and they attack this finals because honestly, I think they're going to be one of those teams that they may not go into flag contention, but they are definitely one of those that if they get the right matchup could do some damage. They're going to catch some teams, so it'll be fun. So, speaking of teams that I would love to see in finals, but unfortunately I think will fall just a little bit short, and that is the Geelong Cats as they get a nice win over the West Coast Eagles out west. 56-23. This was the Cats team that I expected to see this year. Unfortunately, a brutal schedule has really torn away any chances for them to make finals this year.
Yeah, I would argue they're the epitome of a frustrating season because they almost picked the D's in round one. They drew with North in round two. They stuffed the chance for a win against Richmond and win those three. They're well in secured finals already. So yeah, handy to get a win, but yeah, it's just another so close yet so far situation.
Well, they didn't even need to win three. They just needed to win one. If they win
Yeah,
one of those first three, they take the 2 points against North Melbourne and they get 4 points out of it. They're in the finals chances as we speak. But the issue that they run into is, like I said, a brutal schedule. They've played so many finals teams in this little run that unfortunately this is where the fixturing hurts because when you play a lot of the really good teams you can't afford losses early in the season. I said it early in the season. In the first three games, if you lose the first three games, you might as well pack up and call it a day because you're done. There's no way you're making almost no way you're making finals. As in the last couple of years, you got to win at least five, if not six, to get in the finals. If you lose your first three, you got to go. I mean, basically, you have to go 6-1 just to make finals, and that's not easy with this season because as soon as you think you've got it figured out, something changes. So I feel bad for the Cats, honestly, as I was saying off mic, I think Cats are probably better than three teams that are gonna make the finals this year. And that's kind of the sad part about it. But it's the condensed fixture of 11 games win 10 rounds. I said, unfortunately, it will be a cruel mistress for a few teams that probably should make finals that won't because they got a little bit of a tougher schedule than some of the teams that will get in. So let's jump into it. TO Stadium up in Darwin, Dreamtime game, Essendon, Richmond, and they are treated to a doozy as we get a draw. Another draw this season, 42-42. The Tigers and Dons split the points. I know it's kind of anticlimactic. Some people don't like it, but I love a draw. I think a draw is fantastic because if you're not good enough to beat the opponent, you know what? Split the points, call it another day.
yeah, exactly. And this this draw I felt was really fitting for the way the game played out because Richmond had their moments that they dominated, Essendon had their moments that they dominated. So yeah, it was nice evening out of everything.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those where I appreciate a draw. I really do. I know some people, like I said, there's no song, there's no fun. It's kind of anticlimactic. I go, that's kind of the point. Neither team really deserved to win. Give them 2 points and move on. So I don't mind this one at all. One of the shockers of the round as we go to Mara Stadium in Ballarat as the Donkeys. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as much as I tore them apart early in the season for some pitiful performances, an incredible 1 point win, beating the Saints 36-35. So happy for the Doggies players, especially after the debacle that was the game against Essendon earlier this year. Some changes were made. They get the win 36-35, a huge 1 point win for the Doggies.
Yeah, absolutely. And it ends the Saints' finals hopes. They had to win that one in order to get the job done. But full credit to Tam Hine and her team down there. I was coming into this year, I wasn't sure what to expect from Bulldogs, but I knew that they'd got a gem in picking Tam as their coach, and she's showing it, they're defying expectations. And yeah, but yeah, St Kilda. Oh, sorry, Euro. Sorry, that's really hard to pronounce. Yeah, just another frustrating result for them. Thankfully, they don't lose Bianca Jacobson to an ACL, just a
Mhm.
bad hyperextension, which is a massive relief for the Saints fans all over the place. But yeah, Saints are an interesting one because they're going to just miss on our finals for the second year in a row. Changes have to be made because they're getting this close, but they're just not getting there. And I think they kind of need to be ruthless in terms of making changes to finally break that glass ceiling.
We'll have to see. The question will be is what moves can they make? Like it'd be fascinating to see how they handle this off season for sure. So and the third of three incredible games from Saturday night into Sunday sees the Carleton Blues go over to their heated rivals Victoria Park over to play Collingwood and get a 4-point win, 32-28. The Pies season of misery unfortunately continues, but there's light at the end of the tunnel and most likely getting the number one overall pick, which I think in this particular draft could be quite the win for the Pies. I know not too many wins this season, but Blues get it done again. The Blues, another Jekyll and Hyde team for me because as soon as I think they've figured it out, they find a way to lose a game they probably shouldn't have, and then they get a win here, probably a little closer than I was expecting.
Yeah, I think there's a few sides this year that have been super inconsistent, and I would put Carlton on top of that list. I just don't know what to make of them. But yeah, first win against the Pies in 5 years, and as I've been saying to Pies fans all year, yeah, this kind of season sucks, but think long term,
Mhm.
you're gonna get probably Ash Central, arguably the second best 18-year-old in the country this year. Yeah, and it's that it bringing Ash in is going to be such a boost for that Pie side long term that the pain of this year is going to be worth it.
hmm Yeah, and that's kind of the fun part about it is that with some of these magnificent 18-year-olds coming up, that as much as it stinks to be at the bottom part of the ladder, is that you are getting an elite level player potentially into the folds is fantastic. So I wish I could avoid talking about this next one, but I will be the good host that I am, and I will talk about it as the Brisbane Lions get an impressive 68-point win over the Sydney Swans, 78-10. The class of this Lions team is ridiculous. They just are ruthless. They get it done. Belle Dawes kicks two. Sophie Conway kicks goals. You've got Taylor Smith who stepped in for Dakota Davidson who wasn't playing in this game. She kicks three goals, and just you can definitely tell some of the pieces for Sydney that helped them make finals last year are definitely not there as Chloe Malloy, Ali Morfitt both are missing this season due to injury, and you can definitely tell is it affecting them. So tough one for a Swan supporter, but again, I look at it, I go, you know what? As tough as it was, there's still some good things that I'm starting to see in this group. Again, Brianna Tarrant again. Everybody knows, friend of the podcast. I absolutely love her down back. She was magnificent again. Ella Heads has been moved around from the halfback flank up to the wing, and I think she's been magnificent. Lucy McAvoy played well. Privatelli showed why she's some of the best hands in the entire competition. I could compliment this group. It's just one of those. The class of Brisbane was just too good in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're looking scary at the moment. And yeah, I think they might defy the trend of the reigning premiers missing the grand final the year after. Because yeah, it's just hard to fault a side like Brisbane where you've got your Brie Conans, your Nat Riders, players like that in the back. You've got, as you move into the midfield, you've got your Conways, you've got your Beldawses, Talia Hickey, who's a seriously underrated rock.
Mhm.
And then you move into the forward line, and Taylor Smith has just really lifted her game this year. She has been one of the most improved players in the entire comp for me. And yeah, she's just so hard to match up on. And yeah, where do you find the crack of weakness in a side like Brisbane? It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that I would say is a weakness, and it's not really a weakness that they can control, is Brisbane is a running team that doesn't have a ton of height in the midfield. So
Mm.
if you can mark the football and have a little bit more body into this smaller midfield. I mean, Ali Anderson, Belle Dawes, Sophie Conway. I mean, Orla O'Dwyer has some strength and some body size. But after that, Brisbane, a majority of their midfield is slighter, a little bit shorter players. So they're on one and only, and I think it's one of the reasons why North handed them their tails early in the season is because North's got a big body midfield that's got some size, got some strength that Brisbane doesn't have. But Brisbane can run all day. So if that footy is in motion, they're incredibly difficult to stop. So I agree with you. They are looking quite dangerous going into finals. This was just an impressive win. This is exactly what they needed. This is a percentage booster that gets them ready for finals. So that is it. That is all 9 games for round nine. Said, talked about, and done. We'll jump to the burning questions. I'm interested on this, Allie. One round left. Is the eight set, or will we see Geelong or Melbourne somehow find a way into the finals?
Uh, there's two sides to that for me. The D's tragic in me says, no, of course it's not set. Strange things will happen. D's will make it in. Happy days.
Hmm.
But the realist in me goes, I'm not sure if even if Melbourne belt the living daylights out of Collingwood on Saturday afternoon, I think Essendon will probably beat Carlton that night. So no matter what the D's try and do, 20% is a massive gap. And
Hmm.
with the Octopussy likely to easily take care of the Giants, there's percentage is just going to kill the D's, unfortunately.
Hmm. I'm with you. I honestly, because of the matchups that they have, Geelong is unfortunately they're just too far out. They're just too far out, unfortunately. And Nam, I agree with you. I think the issue they run into is the two teams, they both need to lose. Both are playing opponents that probably should win. Unfortunately, I agree with you. I think the eight is set, but it'll be interesting. You never know. Carlton can throw some curveballs at us a little bit. So we'll definitely have to see for sure on that one. So I will go here only because as a very active member on social media, and I know this season has been one that has had way too much attention on social media. I'll ask this with one game left. Could you deem this a successful season for the AFLW, or is this a season that the headaches are going to mar or going to mar and kind of drag it down a little bit?
Uh, yeah, it's tricky. There are definitely going to be headaches stemming from this season and frustrations from plenty of key stakeholders. The question is, will those in charge recognize the problems and actually do something meaningful to fix them? That I'm not 100% certain on.
I am 100% with you. Again, I've said it again, and I'm not saying it to be controversial. AFLW continues to be AFL House's, um, how to say this as respectfully as possible. You, you, it was a we're gonna do this to appease people type of move. As much as I know that Gillum McLaughlin wants footy to expand. He wants to make footy one of the top games in Australia. I just feel that they continue to show that they're only going to do the least amount possible to help this thing grow. This is like buying a potted plant and giving it 2 drops of water and telling it to grow and grow a lot. You're hampering this more than anything. Bad start times, difficult playing game, difficult grounds to be able to fill because you're playing games at 5 o'clock in the afternoon in downtown in Melbourne or in Casey Fields way outside of Melbourne, and you're playing it at a time where a lot of people are going to find it difficult to get to. Let's just be honest. I just feel like you're handcuffing these girls' wrists together and telling them to play all star and then telling them to play like all stars. It just doesn't work, and it's just not going to. This is another season where they continue to prove that this is it is run by amateurs at this point. And I hate saying that. I really do. But they're continuing to tell us stuff that's just it's just not true. Like, we're doing this. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because every how you're handling every single situation over the last two seasons has shown that you're not. And that's the most frustrating part as a huge supporter of these magnificent young women who are just getting better and better each week. They're continuing to be given crappier and crappier spots, rounds that are just not suitable for the elite game. And I think that's the most frustrating part about this whole thing. So I don't want to be
I
negative
totally,
this I don't want to be negative on this entire sorry, I'm sorry, Ali. I don't want to be negative on this part because again, the players, the footy has been really good. It's everything outside of it that the women have no control over is the part that's the most frustrating at this point because I just feel like they're being handcuffed and being told to be magnificent athletes and they're just not getting everything that they probably should be at this point. So sorry, Ali, I didn't
yeah,
mean
I was just gonna say I totally agree with everything you've just said. And these these athletes are amazing athletes and amazing humans as well. And they deserve to be able to play in a league that respects them and that wants to see them at their best. But I was talking earlier about the barriers put in front of GWS, the amount of brick walls and barriers that are put in front of these athletes just in general. Like they're only allowed to be at the club for I think 20 hours a week. I was reading the other day. And you can't be your best if you're restricted
Mhm.
in terms of how many hours you're allowed to be there. And their pre-seasons are longer than their seasons. Yeah. And that's the other thing. And when they cop abuse on social media, they're not protected. And I feel like the league tries to sweep it under the rug a bit,
Mhm.
which there's been a particular incident in the last couple of weeks, which, yeah, just shows that, yeah, a lot of people are questioning the priorities of the league, shall we say.
Mhm. No, there's no shall we say it's plain and simply it. I mean, you pay attention to people that are really on this kind of the competition and they cover it, they focus it, they talk about it. How they've handled a few of the situations this season has been atrocious. So I won't even be nice about it. So we will go there. So let's go off the bad. We'll go to the good, kind of. We'll see how it goes. Allie will go to you as the Melbourne supporter that you are. They're just outside the finals. I'm going to ask this because some people it is a no-win situation. Is it a bad season if the D's miss the finals?
It's
Bless you.
it's tricky because particularly the front half of the year, it was not a true representation of the D side because they were missing like half their best 21. So I think if they'd been at full strength all year and they'd still got those results, then yeah, it not a successful year at all. But the fact that they lost four in a row, then won four in a row, and are even still in the discussion of finals, yeah, I'm so proud of those girls.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on this. I don't as many hoops that they've had to jump through, as many um so much adversity that they've had to go through to get where they are is an accomplishment. To get where they are is an accomplishment. It sucks that they may not make finals as good as they are, but I think they've played really, really well despite all of the adversity that they've had to go through. So I don't think it's a bad season. Is it disappointing? Yes. Is it bad? No. 100% with you on to that one. So we will jump to it. The part of the podcast where I take over just the tiniest bit. We'll do my team of the week and then power rankings for one of the last times of the season. So we'll jump right to it. Team of the week. We'll start on the full back line where we see young upstart Molly Brooksby of the Port Adelaide Power and St. Kilda's Serene Watson in the full back line. The halfback line, Melbourne's Sinead Goldrick, Collingwood's Jordan Allen, and Carlton's Mimi Hill. On the wings, we see Orla Lally of the Fremantle Dockers and Brisbane's Sophie Conway. In the center, at the ruck, we see Matilda Schultz of the Port Adelaide Power, Fremantle's Aisling McCarthy, Jazz Garner of the North Melbourne Rouge, and Brisbane's Belle Dawes will be our center midfield. At the half forward line, we see Danielle Ponta of the Adelaide Crows, Richmond's Katie Brennan, and Essendon's Bonnie Toogood. The full forward line, 6 goals. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, 6 goals by Aisling McCarthy and Brisbane's Tanya Smith. On the bench, my defender is Fremantle's Emma O'Driscoll. My midfielder is West Coast Ella Roberts. My ruck is Eilish O'Dowd of the GWS Giants. My forward is Kate Sheilor, and my utility is Jess Fitzgerald of the Western Bulldogs. So we'll jump straight to the power rankings again, my homage to the fourth and long part of the original part of the podcast. At 5, the Geelong Cats. At 4, the Brisbane Lions. At 3, the Port Adelaide Power. At 2, the Hawthorn Hawks. And at 1, the North Melbourne Rouge. So again, been a fun week. Sorry, I totally forgot. Thoughts on team of the week. I'm totally missing what I'm doing here. I'm a little rattled. My apologies.
No, good. Yeah, very talented, talented side there. And I just wanted to point out Serene Watson, who is another one for me that's really been really impressive and really grown as a footballer this year. And yeah, will be in a side where the defense is really their strength. And yeah, it's good to see that someone can still grow and develop in that role.
Definitely. She's found herself quite the little niche at St. Kilda. It's been fun to watch her. It's been fun to watch her grow. So we'll jump to it. I know we're still early in the week, but let's do tips. We are going to round 10, the last round of the season. Let's have some fun tipping this one. We'll jump over to GMHBA Stadium down in Geelong as the Cats host the Crows. Unfortunately, this one is a tough one for the Cats, trying to make finals and welcome in the three-time premiers.
Yeah, not an ideal situation, eh? But yeah, Crows have been a little bit iffy in the back half of the year, but Geelong have been even less convincing. So yeah, I think Crows will do this too easily.
Yep, Crows for me on this one, just a little bit too much talent. Again, like I said, Geelong will be hurt by the fact that they're playing a one of the best sides in the competition over the entire 9 seasons that this league has been playing in. We jump over to Icon Park in Melbourne as Nam hosts Collingwood. Interesting that it's hosted at Icon Park. Always fascinating. So I'm gonna like the D's in this one. I think the D's too talented. As much as the Pies wouldn't mind getting a win to end the season with a little bit of positivity. I think Nam just a little bit too strong, a little bit too good. So Nam for me on this one.
Yeah, and it will surprise no one to hear that I am also tipping Nam. Yeah, hopefully get Kate Hall back. That'll be massive. Unfortunately, Gab Colvin's still out, which personally is very annoying for me because I'm a massive Gab Colvin fan. But yeah, it's just Nam will just be too strong and wait with nervous breath for the rest of the weekend.
Yep, an interesting one. We'll jump up to Sydney and Henson Park. A fascinating one as the Sydney Swans host the West Coast Eagles. Daisy Pierce's final game as coach this particular season. It's fascinating on this one. Who do you like in this? Because I find it interesting that Sydney is the favorite, though Sydney are lower on the ladder.
It's interesting. I would have thought that the Eagles would be the favourites heading into that one, but yeah, I guess Sydney's drop off has been explained, whereas West Coast it might be more a case of youthful inexperience.
Mhm.
I, oh, I don't know. I think I think I'm going to tip the Eagles just because I think they've got there's a bit more there that I think yeah they might just be able to get the job done. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm gonna tip Sydney in this one. Normally in these type of games I tip against. Just like I said, it's the never lose. If I get the tip right, that's awesome. If I get the tip wrong, then Sydney wins. But I'm gonna tip Sydney in this one. I just think they've played some pretty good footy. They just run into some really good opponents over the last few weeks, despite some of their losses. I think they've actually developed some of their youngsters really well. And I think they've actually played some teams like North. I thought the first quarter, Sydney really took it to them. And even in the second, third, and fourth quarters against North, even though North started to expand the lead, I thought Sydney actually played really well. So I like Sydney in this one. Henson Park, I think, will be full of red and white to cheer the girls off in the final game of the season. So I like the Swans in this one. Plus the long travel with the last game of the season. Be interesting how West Coast pulls up in that one. So we'll jump to Arden Street Oval as North Melbourne host Gold Coast to end the season. North with a chance to solidify their minor premiership. I think they do it easily. North for me, and I think North big, unfortunately.
Yeah, Sam, I can't see them can't see them losing to the Suns. The Suns did push the Hawks really well about a month ago now, I think that was, but yeah, North are just another level above, and I can't see them having much troubles at all.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Now, the question will be does North rest a few players? That'll be the big question there.
Mm,
Will they rest a few players? And will those
mm.
players that they do rest, will they make a bigger impact? I don't think so, but you never know because again, with no pre-finals bye, they go straight to the finals. Will North be looking, knowing that they're into finals? Will they be looking at just getting some players fully healthy, getting them an extra week before they head into finals? So fun one at Icon Park as the Essendon Bombers go over and play Carlton. Again, Essendon get a win. They're into finals for the second consecutive season. Who do you like in this one?
Uh, um, as much as my D's tragic side of me hates what I'm about to say, I think Essendon are just going to be too strong. Carlton, I think for me, have been the most inconsistent side all year. And as much as weird things have happened, and if Carlton somehow pulls something out of somewhere, won't be the biggest surprise in the world. But yeah, I think Essendon are just yeah. But the I guess the other thing is they're coming back from Darwin, long trip, tough conditions. How much will that play a part?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The travel will be the biggest thing on that. And Carlton has been in Victoria this entire time. So I agree with you. It'll come down to the fourth quarters. Can Essendon get a big enough lead that even if they kind of falter a little bit in the fourth, they can survive it? That will be the biggest question there. Like it won't be the first quarter that you'll notice it. It's the third and the fourth quarters. It's that late time. Will you see tired legs start to show? That'll be the biggest question on that one. An interesting one at RESEA Park is Brisbane has dropped one here. So is there a worry as the Saints host the Lions at RESEA Park in Melbourne? For me, Brisbane too good. I think Starcevich will have his girls ready to go again, a little bit like North, will he rest or will he play? That'll be the biggest question on that one. Even with some resting, I still think Brisbane just too deep. St. Kilda, really, unfortunately, nothing more to play for. I like the Lions in this.
Yeah, same. I think Stars is a bit of a different mindset from Darren Crocker in terms of resting players. I can't see Stars resting anyone. Yeah, the Saints bad week to lose Bianca Jacobson when you've got to deal with the double target of Taylor Smith and Dakota Davidson. But yeah, I think Brisbane will just be too strong.
Yeah, unfortunately on that one. We'll jump over Swinburne Center as Punt Road sees the Richmond Tigers host the up and about Hawthorn Hawks, a chance for Hawthorn to solidify a top four spot in their first ever finals that they will make. I would love to tip the Tigers in this one just for some fun, but I think Richmond, the way they are playing right now, they are just too good right now. I like the Hawks in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Richmond have been a little bit iffy the last maybe month or so, and yeah, Hawthorn are just growing and growing. We're talking about resting players for North and for Brisbane. Hawthorn, if you do rest someone, please give Casey Dumont a game. It bane of my existence that she still hasn't got a game yet. Sorry, that was a slight tangent. But yeah,
No
I think
problem.
that this is another one where travel and heat is going to be a factor as well. Richmond have come from Darwin, Hawthorn played in Cairns. Will that be a level, will that level out? I'm not sure. But yeah, I think Hawthorn have been a lot more consistent than Richmond in the past couple of weeks. So I think the Hawks will get the win.
In this one, but it'll be a fun one. I think we'll be treated to some quite good football with Mon Conti and Liza West in the middle. That's going to be a fun one on that one. Jump over to South Australia as Yartapulti host the GWS Giants at Alberton Oval again. The Power have a chance with a win to guarantee themselves finals. I like the Power in this one as much as I'd love to see the Giants get a win to kind of end a another dismal season with a win. Unfortunately, I think Port's just too good.
Yeah, same. I think even if somehow GWS pull something out of somewhere, I think the difficulties percentage will be good enough to keep them in there. But yeah, unfortunately, Alberton has not been the happiest of hunting grounds for the Giants, and I can't see that changing again on Sunday.
Yeah, Power really good at home, so we'll have to see. And then last but not least, the last game of the home and away season sees Wallulup host the Western Bulldogs. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, it's an intriguing one because Bulldogs have defied a few expectations this year, but I think particularly because it's in WA, I think Walyulup will be too strong and fine-tune their game ahead of finals.
I'm 100% with you. Wallulup just too strong. I think Aisling McCarthy has herself a day. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Wallulup too good. A good getter, a good getting ready game for Fremantle. Hopefully, if they can get up and get a nice little lead, they can maybe cotton wool a few of their stars come late in the game to get them ready for finals. So it'll be a fun one on that one. Unfortunately, could be a long day for the doggies out in the West. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is all 9 games tipped. That is everything talked about. So much fun as per usual. Ali, as per usual, a magnificent conversation. But before we go, really quickly, how are things at Rookie Me Central, and are you working on anything that are anything footy wise?
Yeah, very busy at the moment. Draft guides both for AFLM and AFLW coming out soon, and so stay tuned for that. Last touches are being put on the M1, and yeah, hopefully not too long before I can say the same thing about the W draft guide. And yeah, very exciting time.
You guys know how much I absolutely love the draft guides from Rookie Me Central. They are so detailed, so much fun. I get to learn so much more about these magnificent young players that are going to be coming into the AFL and AFLW. Cannot wait for that. So, as per usual, great work as always. It is always fun to talk. And that is going to do it for another episode of Donnie's Disposals. Again, keep an eye out. We will get through the AFLW season. I cannot wait for finals, and it's going to be so much fun on that. And then we get to the off season. And again, I'm working on a little project, a little homage to one of my first years of doing the podcast here. So keep an eye out. I will explain it a little bit later. Probably around grand final of the AFLW, I will explain what will be going on in the off season. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, I still have the VFL and Waffle reviews to cover the men's season and get ready for the off season in both of those competitions still to come as well. Those should be out hopefully soon. We'll have to see how that goes. So that'll be it for another episode of Donnie's Disposals. If you like what you're listening to, please like and subscribe, and we'll be back again with more footy coverage very, very soon.